Hello and welcome to today's lesson. Today I'm going to show you the in C++ programs. They are pretty much a required knowledge for any type of program you're going to do, whether it be games, applications, states, even if you want to program a web browser. So let's get started. First thing you want to do is get your streaming library, because we're going to output some stuff from our program to the screen. And let's just throw the namespace up there to make things a little cleaner. If you're following along with this, use pause often, type what you see, things like that. First, since we don't want it local, we're going to keep it for all of our loops. We are going to make a double integer, a double variable outside of any loop. Start with the for loop. First, if you look at the, you know what, I'll type it first and then I'll go through it. Alright, first thing you need to realize is there's actually 3 commands in a for loop, and they are actually separated by 2 semicolons. First thing you want to do is initialize your variable. You could create it there too. Int I equals 0, and it'll be local and it'll ignore this one. We can leave it like that for the sake of argument. This is your check here. You want to be doing your loop as long as this is true. And this is your increment operator. Any changes you want to make, it doesn't even have to be I, it could be something else in here. Then you can trigger a break or anything like that. I'll get to that more in a bit. Plus equals, I do like that because it's easier for me to read my own code, but that is the same as plus plus, just like that. It's the same as that, but for my own clarity, this is how I type it. Do what's more comfortable to you. I'm only explaining that in case you don't know. Next thing to do would be to do the actual loop. So let's output the for loop value of I is, and put I, and let's do a soft return just to the beginning of the line, and then end that on there. So let's give that one a test. See, look at it counting. It'll get to 4,000 and stop. The next thing we want to do is output a hard return. Reinitialize I to 0, although because I changed it, like this here, this wouldn't be needed, but I'm going to change it back to how I had it in my head, so I don't get myself confused. Now the next loop is a while loop. While I is not equal to 4001, and the reason why you want to do it that way is because the check is at the beginning of the loop. So you want to go one above where you're planning to hit. And for this one, because it's not a for loop, it's not going to increment as part of the command, we need to increment that ourselves. Just like that. And now let's output what we want to put. While loop value of I is soft return, end the loop. Let's show you the do while loop. First of all, let's put a hard return, set I back to 0, and do it. Now see the syntax difference? We put do at the beginning. It's exactly how you say it. While this is not equal to this, keep doing this. For a do loop, it is do this while, so the check, the loop condition check is actually done after the iteration, whereas in a while loop it is done prior to the iteration. So keep that in mind, because in a while loop, this can never be executed. If I is equal to 4001 when the loop starts, this will not happen. In a do while loop, this inside here is going to happen no matter if this is going to check or not. So basically, let's show here. So let's say there's no iteration in here and we didn't reset I to 0. Pay very close attention to what's about to happen. You see that? Pay very close attention to that. Okay, I don't know how else to explain that to you. This is done after. Alright. So keep in mind that this here will always be executed at least once, no matter what. Whereas in a while loop, instead of a do while loop, it may never execute. The condition check is after, so it can happen regardless. The condition check is before, it may never happen. And that's it. That's the most basic idea of looping. Right now we're in this loop, now we're in this loop. And now we're in this loop. Although I didn't reset the 0. But you see the idea. That's it. That concludes this tutorial. Now, I want you to this tutorial I'm gonna put that together now. It gets more into formatting because formatting can be a bit more complicated. Alright. So keep in mind what I'm about to show you is very different. If you want to see that other example again, I'll show you in a second. The for loop, I'm going to teach you a few things on that and how to write your own functions, kind of two-in-oneer. So keep in mind what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a function and iterate with that function using a for loop that doesn't count for variables of its own. Alright, so I'm going to actually write that now. So this tutorial may be up 5 to 10 minutes before that one, but don't worry about it. Now see what's happening here. Printed it immediately after, even though the check was done and it should never have went in. If it was a while loop, it never would have printed it, but because it's a do while loop, the code is executed before the check, so it'll always be executed at least once. I can't stress that enough. That's the difference. Why would they put a while loop and a do while loop if it does the exact same thing? That's the thing. They do not do the exact same thing. The check is before and the check is after. That is so important to remember. I'll repeat it one more time for you. This is check done before. So if I never reset I to 0 here, this loop would never get executed. Right? Never get executed. But because this while loop is after, if I never reset it at all here or here, this loop would fully count it up. This would never get executed, and this would print the value of I as being 4,000, executing it once, and because it's 4,000, it will exit right away, and that would be it. Now keep an eye on it, type this out, print it, fiddle with it, experiment with it. This is a key component to any C++ program, and it's a must.